December 15, 2025, Novorossiysk Naval Base. A Black Sea stronghold. Russia leaned on as the war dragged on. Hardened docks, layered security, and the kind of safe rear area Moscow wanted the world to believe was untouchable. Then the water moved. Not with waves, with intent. Ukraine said an underwater drone struck a Russian missile-carrying submarine at the base and released video showing a violent explosion near the docked vessel. Footage Reuters said it independently verified. Russia's Black Sea Fleet denied any damage. And that's the moment the story stops being about front lines, because the battlefield had just gone under the surface. A base designed to hide power had just been forced to reveal panic. But that strike wasn't the beginning. It was the latest proof of a pattern. Because for 3 years, Ukraine has been running the same brutal experiment on Russia's defense doctrine. How many top-secret sites can you hit before the word secret becomes meaningless? Stay with me. Because the next attack didn't just shock Russia's navy. It threatened the most expensive wings in Russia's arsenal. Setup. What top secret means in this war. When people hear top secret base, they picture a bunker with blast doors. But in modern warfare, top secret usually means something else. Long-range bomber airfields that launch strikes without warning. Command centers that coordinate fleets and air defense. Ports that keep submarines alive, armed, and hidden. Radar and early warning aircraft that see the sky first. And Ukraine's most successful deep strikes have targeted those exact nodes. Places Russia believed were protected by distance, by air defense, and by the simple assumption that Ukraine couldn't reach them. That assumption died in stages. So today we're going through the most shocking Ukrainian strikes on Russia's high-value bases and strategic infrastructure, starting with the craziest first. Not because they're cinematic, because they were real. Segment 1. The Spider's Web Strike, when Russia's bomber bases became a target range. June 1, 2025. Russian air bases are built around one central truth: bombers are expensive, bombers are rare, bombers must be protected. And yet Ukraine's security service said it carried out an operation codenamed Spider's Web, using drones smuggled and launched from inside Russia, hidden inside the roofs of wooden sheds, then released near Russian air bases. This wasn't a drone flying from the border. This was a drone attack that treated Russia's own roads as the launch corridor. Ukraine said strikes hit multiple bases and claimed 117 drones were used and 41 military aircraft were hit, while Reuters noted it could not independently verify that number. Satellite imagery showed several bombers destroyed or badly damaged at one base, and the targets weren't random. Reuters reported Ukraine said the struck aircraft included strategic bombers, Tu-95 Tu-22M Tu-160, and an A-50 airborne early warning aircraft. Let that sink in. If even a fraction of those claims are accurate, this wasn't just a strike. This was an attempted amputation of Russia's long-range aviation, one of the core tools used to pressure Ukraine from a distance. And then came the second shock. Reuters reported U.S. officials assessed Ukraine hit fewer planes than Kyiv claimed, estimating around 10 Russian warplanes destroyed, but still framed it as an escalation risk because Ukraine was striking nuclear-capable bomber platforms. Even the lower estimate is devastating, because when your weapon is a long-range bomber, your real strength is that it survives long enough to launch again tomorrow. And after Spider's Web, Russia had to confront a nightmare. You can't intercept what launches from inside your perimeter. This is what shocked everyone, not just that drones hit planes, but that the attack method suggested Ukraine could weaponize logistics, deception, and placement, turning Russia's own depth into a vulnerability. And if you're wondering what happened next, Russia didn't just lose mettle. Russia lost certainty. Because once the rear becomes the front, the map changes. Segment 2. Engels. The night a strategic bomber base lit up the sky. March 20, 2025. Engels Airfield in Russia, home to strategic bombers. A place tied to the kind of aircraft Russia uses to launch long-range strikes. And that night, Ukraine launched a major drone strike that triggered a massive explosion and fire. Videos of the blast and smoke were verified by Reuters. Local officials said 10 people were injured and a state of emergency was declared in the Engels district. Ukraine said Engels was the target. Russia said it intercepted large numbers of drones across multiple regions. But the headline isn't "drones were intercepted." The headline is that the base still lit up anyway. And this is what deep strikes do to a defense network. They force a choice. Do you place your best air defense around the capital, or around your bomber bases, or around refineries, or around command centers? You can pick any two. Because the moment Ukraine proves it can hit Engels, roughly 700 kilometers from the front, Russia has to spend resources defending geography. And defending geography is the fastest way to bleed. Segment 3, Sevastopol, the crab trap that punched the Black Sea Fleet in the face. Now rewind to September 22, 2023. Sevastopol, Crimea, Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters, symbolic, operational, and deeply protected. Russian-installed officials said at least one Ukrainian missile struck the fleet HQ, and a major cyber attack interrupted internet services on the peninsula. Russia's defense ministry said air defenses downed 5 missiles, but one still hit. It later said one serviceman was missing. This strike mattered for one reason. It wasn't about a warehouse. It was about command. It was the kind of hit that doesn't just destroy a structure, it disrupts a system. And in war, systems matter more than buildings. Because if your command node loses rhythm, every unit connected to it loses tempo. Ukraine said it was hitting Russian command posts. Russia confirmed impacts in Sevastopol during that period. This is where the psychological shock kicked in. A place Russia treated like a fortress. A base Russia used as the spine of Black Sea operations. Took a direct hit. And if Sevastopol can be hit, then the myth of untouchable Crimea starts to crack. Re-engagement. Here's the question that should make you uncomfortable. What actually keeps a superpower safe? Is it walls? Is it air defense? Or is it the belief that the enemy can't reach you? Because Ukraine's most successful strikes don't just destroy equipment, they destroy that belief. And once belief collapses, every top-secret base becomes a stress test. Stay with me, because the next one looked like an accident. And that ambiguity made it even scarier. Segment 4. Sakhi Air Base, the day Crimea stopped feeling like a resort. August 9, 2022. Sakhi Air Base near Novorossiysk, Crimea. Witnesses described hearing at least a dozen explosions in the afternoon, and local authorities said multiple blasts injured people. Russia tried to frame it as detonations in ammunition stores. But then satellite imagery arrived. Reuters reported satellite pictures showed devastation at the base, 3 craters and 8 destroyed planes, fueling the assessment that Ukraine may have gained a longer-range strike capability or conducted a sophisticated attack. And a Western official later said the blasts put more than half of the Russian Black Sea Fleet's naval aviation combat jets out of use. That is not a minor incident. That's a major operational hit. Because air power isn't just the planes, it's the runway, the maintenance crews, the fuel lines, the spare parts. And when an airbase takes that kind of damage, it forces aircraft to disperse, relocate, or operate with reduced tempo. Sakhi was supposed to be safe. It was behind the line. It was in annexed territory Russia had controlled since 2014. And still, something reached it. That's why Sakhi shocked everyone, not only because planes burned, but because Crimea's illusion of insulation died in public. Segment 5. The Crimea Air Defense Gap. When sophisticated systems start disappearing. Now fast forward to September 2023. Ukraine said it attacked 2 Russian patrol ships and destroyed a sophisticated air defense system in western Crimea as it ramped up strikes to challenge Moscow's dominance in the Black Sea. This is where the story becomes a loop. Ukraine strikes. Russia claims interception. And then, despite the intercept claims, high-value targets still take damage. When air defenses start getting chewed up, whether by missiles, drones, or combined tactics, it doesn't just create local damage, it creates corridors. And corridors change everything, because the moment there is a corridor, every base behind it becomes exposed. The pattern. Why these strikes keep working. So what's the common thread? It isn't that Ukraine has infinite missiles. It's not that Russia has no defenses. It's that modern war rewards one thing above all: adaptation. Ukraine keeps changing the question. If you defend the border, Ukraine strikes deep. If you defend deep bases, Ukraine targets command nodes. If you harden ports, Ukraine brings drones under the water. If you jam drones, Ukraine finds new paths and new tactics. The Novorossiysk incident is the clearest example of this evolution. Ukraine claimed its underwater drone struck and disabled a missile-carrying submarine. Russia denied damage, but Reuters verified the explosion footage, and even the claim itself signals where the war is going, into domains Russia assumed were safer. And Spider's Web made the same point in the air domain. Even if you dispute the aircraft numbers, the operation demonstrated access and intent, drones staged close enough to hit strategic aviation where it lived. This is why these attacks are so dangerous strategically. They don't need to be perfect to change policy. They only need to be possible. Because once they're possible, Russia must spend more on defense than Ukraine spends on offense. That's the asymmetry. That's the trap. The aftermath. What shocked everyone really means. The shock isn't just flames on video. The shock is what follows after the smoke clears, bombers dispersed and air defenses redeployed, ports put on higher alert, command centers forced into contingency plans, and the Russian public confronted with the idea that distance is no longer protection. When Ukraine hits top-secret targets, Russia has to respond in a way that costs time, money, and credibility. And credibility is a finite resource. Once it bleeds out, a country starts governing through fear instead of confidence, which only creates more pressure, which only creates more mistakes. Final takeaway: you can't hide a network. Here's the lesson these strikes keep screaming into the modern battlefield. You can hide a bunker, you can camouflage a runway, you can build air defenses, but you can't hide a network that has to operate every day. Because networks leave signatures, movement, fuel, signals, maintenance, routine. And Ukraine has become obsessively good at hunting routine. That's why top-secret bases keep getting hit. Not because Ukraine is lucky, because Russia is predictable. And in modern warfare, predictability is the most expensive weakness you can have. If you value this kind of breakdown, where we take shocking headlines and map the real mechanics of modern war, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it. Because the next top-secret target won't be announced with a press conference. It'll be announced the way it always is now. With a flash, a plume, and a base that was supposed to be untouchable, suddenly proving it was never safe at all.